Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Daniel. You're doing a marvelous job. Thank you so much to my colleagues for the wonderful words of support they've said here to myself and to Israel Bruce. We have to do it together. To my colleagues from overseas, from the new National Party in Grenada and for the Dominica Freedom Party, I thank you so much for taking the time for being here with us. It tells me that you too are true regionalists, that you want to see for St. Vincent and the Grenadines what you are building in Grenada and what I know Kent hopes to do for Dominica. For all the people who came up on the boat with me this morning, I know you can't stay for the whole thing, but thank you very much for coming up. For the people who came from far and wide in St. Vincent on the mainland, from the southern Grenadines, everybody is in the house here today. Because as we said, all roads lead to grace. Now, I want to say that we have fun and games. We enjoy our political rallies. We enjoy coming out and sharing the moment with one another. But we know that we have serious work ahead to do. And I want to speak with you today about some of those challenges that we face and to tell you how the New Democratic Party is prepared to meet them. And with your support, we shall. It is a beautiful sight that we have here today, and I'm happy to see the crowd gathered here because we joined together in common cause. I am happy because I have come here, we together have come here sharing one vision of one nation. I am overjoyed because we have come here embracing one another as one people. One Vincy. We are here knowing deep within our hearts that we can only succeed as a people by working together. Our presence here today is a bold, oh yes, and a beautiful expression of our longing to be whole again as a nation, as a people. For too long, we have been pulled apart by the politics of hate and selfish greed. For too long we have been laboring under the yoke of divide and conquer politics practiced by those now in power, who have told our people and continue to say that the only way to get ahead in this country, our blessed High Rona, is to carry the right party card, a red card, or to wear the right color, a red shirt. Our people have been told, and they see around them, that those who do so, they eat well and they grow fat, while their neighbors and even their family members who do not follow the ULP teachings, they suffer and die. You know that this is not our way. It is not the Vincentian way. We are raised as Christians. We are raised in the belief that we must look out for one another. As the Good Samaritan showed us. That we must be motivated not by hate and selfishness, but by love. What better time? What better time than today, on this glorious Sunday afternoon, to remind ourselves of this, our true national character, and to express to one another and to those who could not be here today our shared conviction to go forward in this positive manner.
One day things must get better. Don't you go down, keep your head above the water. Say, one day things must get better.
Put it here. Hey. My friends, fellow Vincentians, let us embrace a new way. I say new, but in truth, it is as old as the Bible itself. But we have strayed too far from it over the years, believing for too long what those others have falsely professed, that politics cannot be guided by the beliefs and principles that awaken within us our better natures and move us always to live and work accordingly. They were wrong. I am pointing fingers here. Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP, they were wrong. We do not have to divide and conquer in order to prosper. We do not have to banish our neighbor to poverty and pain to prosper ourselves. There is enough for all of us. Or at least there can be, if we organize ourselves in the right way. And that is what I offer. That is what we in the New Democratic Party offer to our people. If you need any reminder of how badly the ULP has failed us, simply reflect on the poor performance of our economy over the time that they have been in power. The International Monetary Fund said in its most recent report, that was last December, that economic growth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has stagnated since 2009. We had an average growth of 0.2%, which is no growth at all, leading up to 2016. And the future doesn't look any brighter. The unemployment rate in our country stands at 25%. Again, that's according to the IMF. It is worse today than it was in 2001 when the ULP came to office. At that time, it stood at 20.9%. Today, the youth unemployment rate in this country is a staggering 46%, according to the government figures. The national debt is much worse now than it was in 2001. We have, today, it is higher. We have the highest in the Windward Islands, our national debt, and the highest in our country ever, our debt service ratio. The massive public spending by this government without accountability has imposed an oppressive debt burden on the taxpayers of this country with little benefit to show in return. Our people are paying more taxes every year to pay for the growing government debt, and they are getting less for their sacrifice. Our country now has the highest taxes and the lowest wages in the OECS. Do you know that? We have the highest taxes and the lowest wages in the OECS. Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP have taken us to the bottom of the OECS, while boasting and bragging all the way in their lies about the economy. In the year 2000, just before the ULP came to power, the banana industry was operated and managed by Vincentian farmers. People around here, they know that very well. Banana exports contributed $28 million to our GDP. Since taking over, the ULP has essentially taken over the management of the banana industry from the farmers. The contribution of bananas to the economy declined after that, from $28 million to now less than $1 million. And it's probably less even today. In other words, the banana industry in St. Vincent is dead. The people in this part of the country know it better than anyone else, because who feels it knows it. It didn't have to be that way. Look at St. Lucia, where the management of the banana industry remains in the hands of farmers, and the industry is growing and doing well. This shows that our banana industry, which is one of the largest productive sectors in our economy, was killed by the incompetence and mismanagement, some say by the spite of the ULP government. The result has been painful, especially for farmers. I heard a farmer on the radio, on Nice Radio the other day. He spoke passionately and eloquently about the plight of farmers in this country. And he was right. He was right when he said that the farmers have held up their end of the bargain that the government presented to them. They have worked hard and produced good banana for market, but the government has let them down. It has not held up its end of the deal. Black Sigatoka, as you know, was left to cause havoc in your fields. Post-Hurricane Thomas relief was given out like charity, mainly along party lines, rather than on the basis of personal need and the requirements of the industry for recovery. Credit has dried up. Fertilizer is beyond the means of most farmers. The government has left the farmers to struggle and to fend for themselves. Many have simply given up.
But who feels it knows it. We are feeling from a little and a grow. Who feels it knows it. So
What a
to feel like we let go.
What a difference a government makes. This area, this part of the country, as you know, under Mitchell's leadership, that's Sir James Mitchell, was the focus of the government land reform program that made farmers owners of land and gave them the means to develop themselves. Today, the government says nice sounding words to you, but in reality, you know, they have left you on your own. Even if the Minister of Agriculture comes from your area. It makes no difference because he has no say. You are on your own. This is one of the reasons why the people of Central Leeward need an Israel Bruce. This is why you need an Israel Bruce who has a voice, who will stand up and fight for you and to make sure that he delivers on behalf of his constituents. But I say to you as farmers, hold on. I promise you, help is on the way. Let us change things in government, and together we will change things on the farm. You have suffered too long. I have heard your cries. I have felt your pain. And I promise you, the NDP will help. We know you are not looking for handouts or party favors. What you want is a government who cares about you and who believes in you. I pledge to you that you will get that and more from me, from Israel Bruce, and from the New Democratic Party government. This commitment should not be news to you. It is in keeping with how I have said we would govern and manage development in our country. This is why we hold consultations and town hall meetings with various sectors of society, with young people through our innovative youth dialogue. Remember that? The first time ever in this country, the leader of the opposition, the leader of a major political party, sat down with the young people, unscripted, listened to their concerns, took their questions, and had dialogue with them. We will continue to do that. This is why we hold consultations with the farmers in Fitzhugh and right here in Lauders. We will continue and increase those consultations with the fisher folks, with the trade unions, with health workers and teachers, with van drivers and operators. Your input, my friends, will shape our policy going forward. Other aspects of life under ULP government are just as bad. We have seen that the youth unemployment is now at 46%, and underemployment is also a big problem. Very soon, hundreds of students will graduate from our community college and secondary schools. Some will come from universities to come back home, having been trained to make their contribution to our country. The big question on their minds is this: where am I going to find a job? They have done all that we have asked of them. They have studied. Their families have sacrificed. They borrowed money to go to university. And at the end of it, for many, there are no jobs for them. And worse, They are not a priority of this government. You will remember some budgets ago, one of the senior ministers of this ULP government said that the budget was not about creating jobs. If it is not about creating jobs, what is it about? Enriching politicians? All this government is interested in are the figures on pass rates and the grades achieved by students, which they use to prop up the myth of an education revolution. Jobs are needed, and this will be our priority.
Can't what I do and I lose. You can't hide the truth from the use. You can't steal the fruit, not the roots.
To our young people, I say, tell the Prime Minister, the ULP's main propagandist, and the Minister of Education, a classic copybook, if there ever was one, that you are not a statistic. You are a talented young person. You want to play a part in building the future, your future, and the future of your country. Tell them that this is your right. It is your birthright. Just like it is my birthright to seek to be the Prime Minister of this country. You should not have to belong to a particular political party or to a privileged and powerful family to get ahead in your own country. And most emphatically, you, especially our young women, make it clear to all that despite your vulnerable stage in life and your justifiable desire to make your way in this world, you are not an opportunity for exploitation by powerful and cynical people in this country or anywhere else. I am with you. The New Democratic Party is with you, the young people. We will help you to achieve your dreams. Our economy is failing. Businesses are closing every Monday morning. People are daily losing their livelihoods. And sadly, many are losing hope. Like agriculture, our tourism is in decline. Can you believe that this government, the geniuses who are running this country, have just imposed a tax on hotels and guest houses of $8 per room per night? They say the money is to raise funds for climate change. They have done this even though the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank figures have shown that the stay-over visitors in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that the numbers have declined over the past 10 years significantly. So why tax a declining industry? Do they want to kill it like they kill bananas? You see, they don't really care. Just as long as government gets its cut, they don't care what happens to the rest of us. Hotel operators, for God's sake, I tell you, speak up. It is not too late. Don't wait for me. Don't wait for the members on this platform here to take your fight all the time. Don't speak in a boardroom. Speak publicly and say how you feel about the tax. What more they can do to you? They're taking away your livelihood. Don't let them think, as Posa say, that you left your mouth in your mama. Our health system is broken and it's costing lives every day. We are committed, that is we in the New Democratic Party. We told you this in the last election. We are committed to building a new modern hospital. And this will be paid for entirely by the funds that we get generated from our introduction of the Citizenship by Investment program. No more taxes on the people of our country. Our roads, they need repair. Those of you who drove up here, you saw the deplorable conditions of the roads. You have to be zigzagging like you're running an obstacle course. We had to endure them all. But enough said. You know the score on that. To add insult to injury, VAT and other taxes have increased, placing a heavier tax burden on the backs of the poor people of this country. Crime and violence are rampant. Year after year, we break records for the number of homicides taking place in our country. Rape and sexual violence against our women and children are out of control, and people lack confidence in our justice system to right these wrongs. A rape culture, I say it without apology, a rape culture has taken hold. It has taken root in our country, and it is destroying lives, especially very young lives. Our people continue to live in fear of political victimization, a weapon used by the ULP against our freedom of expression, against our freedom of conscience, against our freedom to associate with those with whom we find common cause. Corruption, nepotism, lack of accountability are all normal ways of doing business for this ULP government. They are accountable only to themselves, and they make up the rules as they go along, again, as it suits them. We have raised the issue of accountability, or lack thereof, by this government many times. When Eustace was our party leader, and since then, when I became the leader. Our calls for accountability, justifiable as they were, have been met with scorn and contempt by Dr. Gonzalez and his colleagues. In fact, Gonzalez actually said publicly that he has, and I quote, no moral responsibility to abide by the requirements of the Constitution regarding accountability. In so doing, he abandoned and denied his responsibility to the nation's Constitution and to its people. A terrible thing for any citizen to do, but an even worse thing for a leader of a country to do. He should be the chief defender of our Constitution. But alas, he is not. They did it also in the Parliament, you heard, when we brought a motion of no confidence to challenge the legitimacy of the government. They twisted our Constitution. They put pressure on the Speaker of the House so that a motion of no confidence became a motion of confidence in the government, and then they invited us to debate it. This is a subversion of our Constitution. We heard of the similar experience in Spain, where they had a motion of no confidence. The Prime Minister accepted the result. He thanked the people for the opportunity to serve as Prime Minister for 6.5 years, and then he relinquished power. That is how mature Democrats behave. Not despots in the guise of democracy, of Democrats. But on the issue of accountability, I will remind Ralph Gonsalves that the people of this country, and the people of this country, what I said at a press conference just over 1 year ago. And this is what I said. In a modern democratic society, public funds cannot be spent in the dark. The law does not allow it. And we, hand in hand with the Vincential people, will not allow it. We will not allow government to break the law with impunity. It should now be obvious to anyone who cares to look that the Prime Minister and the ULP are now confirming their complete and utter contempt for the whole business of accountability. Their complete disregard for the Constitution and for the rule of law in this country. Their contempt for you, the people of this country. I'll have more to say about this at another time and place. But for now, let us continue to insist on this one thing, that accountability is a must for any government. It is simply not negotiable. Fellow Vincentians, we can do great things when we work together for one another. The divide and conquer politics practiced by the ULP may help the party to stay in power a little longer, but in the process, it kills our country. Therefore, I say to you, embrace your neighbor, no matter the party they voted for in the last election. Don't focus on the color of the shirt they wore in the past, or perhaps even now. Change can only come when they too change their minds about who would best represent them in government and provide for their future. Help them to see that it is not a matter of winner takes all, but a matter of all of us winning together. As we build a stronger economy and better communities for ourselves, our country needs all hands on deck at this time. For those of you who are listening to me at home or elsewhere, because for one reason or another, you could not make it here to Greg's today, I say, do not be afraid of the future under an NDP government. You have known me for the past 17 years in Parliament, and more recently as a leader of the NDP. I represent everyone because I know in my heart that we are all one people. The New Democratic Party represents everyone because all of my colleagues here on this stage, they embrace within themselves the firm conviction that we are one people. Color should not be dividing us. Political greed should not be dividing us. Let us seek to kindle our better natures. I see better days ahead of us, as clear as day. It can be done. Together we can do it. But to do so, to bring our country once more into the sunshine, we must remove the blight, as one of the previous speakers said, that has afflicted us for the past 17 years. We must remove Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP from power. They have been there for so long that they no longer understand, if they ever did, how the ordinary people live, how you live, how you make ends meet. They no longer feel your pain, if they ever did. Your concerns are no longer their concerns, if they ever were. Now, the people of Greg's, I want to speak to you personally, to reflect on something that one of the earlier speakers mentioned. I think it was Sister Kay. You have a special and a sacred place in the history of this great New Democratic Party. Without you, the NDP might have been stillborn. For, as Sir James tells it, Sir James Mitchell, our founding father of this great party, people in Greg saved his life during the NDP's first election campaign in 1979, when henchmen of his political opponents came looking for him in Hadley Village to kill him. He came to Greg's for safety. And the people of Greg's, you hid him and you stayed up all night singing and guarding till the morning came, and the treacherous cowards, they vanished like the night. So here again, nearly 40 years later, renewing that sacred, life-saving bond, seeking to return to favor with you, the people of South Central Windward. We need you. We need Israel Bruce. We need your support. People of South Central Windward, your country needs you. You are being called upon today to save not just one life. This time we are calling on you to save the life of your country. Help us to bring about the change that St. Vincent and the Grenadines desperately needs. You can do it. We have put up with too much. You know what? We must remind Ralph and his crew, the outdated encyclopedia and his tattered copybooks, that the time is up. This country has endured enough. It is not theirs to rape and plunder as they like, for as long as they like. It is time for a new way, one in which we shape our own destiny, working together for the benefit of all. Together we can make this country, I believe it in my heart, together we can make this country better than it has ever been. Instead of being laughing stocks, we can be the shining light in this our beautiful Caribbean region. We can be prosperous once more, respected once more abroad, happy people once more. But it must start with us. We must put aside our differences. There will always be differences in a political party. We must unite in our prime objective, to bring this new Democratic Party into government. For it is only by doing so that the vision of a brighter future, the vision of one nation, of one people, of one Vincy will become reality. My dear people, I am pumped. Are you pumped? Are you pumped? All right, let's go from this place today and get the job done. Thank you and God bless.
Mobs!